This is sport. This is why you play. This is why you train. These some moments that happen that you cannot explain. This is actually not professional league, you know.
The Machineseeker EHF Champions League finally is back.
Ball across to Dylan Nahi, double in flight. Oh, what a start!
Yeah. Into the net.
She does it again.
Yes, Van Bengt are the champions of Europe. Up with something here. She has a game. Surprise the keeper. What a comeback!
Ladies and gentlemen, it finally is time to talk handball again, and welcome to our marathon, because this man is about to complete his marathon to 40. It is the last episode ever with a 3 in front of his age for this man, unless he turns 300. Ladies and gentlemen, Víctor Tomàs, how do you feel about it?
Hello. Actually, I wasn't thinking about it until now that you just said it. Yes, 40 are coming, and it's inevitable. So I have to embrace 40s and make them the best time of my life. So yeah, I'm okay about it.
I'm sure that they will be a great time.
What about you, my friend? What about you, my friend? Because also 15th of February, you are adding one more.
We'll see whether you will remember this year that we share the same birthday. But well, there's still one more week to go. But before we lose ourselves here in birthday discussions, this man has at least 200 more episodes before he turns 40. He is never aging. He is just the definition of youth. He just has to tell his hairline, ladies and gentlemen. Martin Vilstrup.
Was going pretty well until the last sentence, and then I was thinking about forever young. But today I'm a little bit tired actually. So in terms of getting old, I feel a little bit old at the moment. We're recording a little bit late, but besides that, it's good. But I had a thought that came to me earlier today. I'm starting, to get a little bit of the winter depression. I want some sun now, and I feel like I'm living in the wrong country then.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're just one sentence away of Victor saying again, oh, well, you need to know where you go to catch some sun, even in February. But yeah, we don't want to go there.
Actually, I thought Martin was a smart guy, and it took, I don't know how old is he, but it took that many years on him to realize that he's living in the wrong country.
Better late than never.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Fair enough. But to be fair here, with a tired Martin Vilstrup and an older getting Víctor Tomàs, I feel like we need some fresh energy in this podcast. We are happy that he is here with us because he has been on a little adventure, but we are going to talk about that in a second or in a minute, because at first we're happy that he's back in the Machineseeker EHF Champions League and that he is with us today. Ladies and gentlemen, Luka Stepancic, how's it going?
Hi, hello guys, hello to everyone, and I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy to be now here with you and talk.
How is the change of weather for you? Because you have been around in Kuwait, and now you are back. It's probably cold, right?
It's tricky. It was easier to get used to the weather there than here. It's the weather here in Poland is similar to Croatian weather, so it's okay.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not so bad. But that I was swimming around the 1st of December, and now it's a big change.
Yeah, well, good luck going out and swimming right now. But those are some different problems. Maybe let's at first talk a little bit about your winter, because how has your winter been so far?
My winter was. It was good. Actually, after we cut the contract in Kuwait, everything happened really fast. We made a fast and good decision to sign with Wisla to come here. So everything happened like in a few days. I had to pack my stuff and come here to do all the necessary medical checkups, to find apartment, to do all the papers, and to to start to train, which I really needed, because even when you think that you're in a good shape, eventually when you spend 3, 4, 5 months in the Kuwait, you lose some part of this professionalism. So I needed it. So we really used it a good last 20-25 days. So now I'm back on track.
Yeah, okay, that sounds great, and it's good to hear that you are back in shape and back at your hopefully best level. But at first, talking about the winter, of course, we do need to have a look at the Croatian winter here too, because there was a small little tournament called the World Championship that was being played, and Croatia did quite a great job. How did you experience the World Cup?
Amazing. Actually, yesterday I was speechless. Not just yesterday, all the games they played in Zagreb were amazing atmosphere. But what they had yesterday, what they deserved in the end was crazy. I know that I still remember day in 2018 when Croatia football national team won silver in the World Cup. And I remember the scenes, the pictures, the videos from Zagreb when people waited for them. And these guys did it again. People did the same thing again, and I think this is something for a lifetime. It was crazy. Actually, yesterday we had late training, so I had enough time during the day to watch it live on the TV, and I think I was like 4 hours just in front of TV watching them, and I was feeling so happy and proud for these guys, because a couple of months ago I was with them in the locker room, so I know what it means to them.
First of all, I want to say thank you for joining us, Luka. It's always nice to to have some words for a guy that know what's happening inside the locker rooms. And I want to ask you about Croatia. With a new coach, Dagor, coming in, and you played a close quarterfinal also against Hungary, where you won it in the last second. And then, to be fair, you came into the semifinal against France, maybe being the underdog there. But as you said, playing in Zagreb, amazing atmosphere. Did this kind of road to the final against Denmark make it even bigger? Because, the hype around the quarterfinal and
Yes,
also being able
yes.
to beat France.
Yeah, everything was going like progressively, Group stage was okay. Okay, we had this loss against Egypt, which was again in Croatian media, and a lot of questions like, is it the same again, like good game, bad game, But after this game against Iceland and this last 5 minutes, not even 4.5 minutes against Hungary, something happened obviously in the arena, in the stands, in the locker room, that just had to finish like this. This is what all of us players want to explain, but it's hard to explain to people who just watch sport that this is sport. This is why you play. This is why you train. These some moments that happen that you cannot explain. How is possible that guys who are injured, and believe me, they were injured, like not some bruises they had. It was real injuries, like broken calves or something like this. They played. And how to explain someone, where do you find the power for this? It's really, and all that hype was going just up until the final, and it's, for me, it's impossible to lose.
Yeah, and I mean,
Unless on the other side is Denmark at this moment.
Fair enough. We are going to talk about the final in a bit here as well. But at first, especially that kind of magical strength that Croatia appeared to have throughout the entire tournament. How much of that belonged to the home advantage, being able to play in Croatia?
Oh, a lot. I remember 2020 European Championship that we played in Austria, where it was like we played in Zagreb. I don't know if you guys remember, but the atmosphere in Vienna and in Graz before, it was full arena of our fans, and we came to final again. This is, I think, something that brings something more from us, from Croats, from all of these countries, from Balkan region, and we have something inside that we can give, like, you know, more than we usually can, with some of this energy and the people supporting us. It's, as you can see, in the end, again.
Always when they're being played in Vienna, then you can always feel that the Balkans are taking over the city entirely. So having played that tournament at home must have been a great one for you guys. On the other hand, did you expect that Croatia was about to have such an amazing tournament before the tournament? So before it started, did you expect that it could go that way?
If I say yes now, I would be lying. I need to be honest. No, really, I need to be honest. I mean, considering last 4 years, some championships that were like, you know, you beat Germany, then you lose some game that you shouldn't. You know, it was a lot of ups and downs. We couldn't find this line that we can keep on. Of course, we knew that we play at home, and expectations are high, and I think guys knew from day one that what they can do. Watching on the side, game by game, we also start to realize, okay, there is something special in this team, in these guys. After what, 2 or 3 games, you stay without two key players. Domagoj got injured, Luka got injured. Then again, you start to ask yourself, oh, what now? It will be even harder. And then they did it. So I cannot say now, when they were in final, to say yes. From first day I said we will play final against Denmark. But for us, it's always like this. We never go to championships just to participate. So I know these players who came there in 25th of December, or when they started the preparation. I know they came with one goal in their mind. So they achieved it in the end, I think.
I also have a couple of Croatian friends that was in Zagreb and watching the atmosphere. I have to say I have the biggest respect for the Balkan fans and spectators in general. They know how to make it loud. And now you kind of took my question there, because, as you said, Domagoj got injured, Sindric got injured, then Karadzic came in, even Mandic also had some problems. And in the final, we could see that also Martinovic, he was not 100% fit. And I think also many of the spectators gave them that extra boost, and obviously also having Duvnjak playing his last, game for the national team. And maybe it's a little bit too early to break it up, but when I think about Croatian handball, I think about Balic, Vori, Sola, Metlesic, Lajkovic, and all great names.
Yeah, 2003, 2004.
Exactly. Where do we put Domagoj's name up there in terms of history and being one of the biggest that played for Croatia?
On the top. I mean, I started to play handball and I grew up watching the generation 2003. Portugal and Athens Olympics. This generation was like everything for us. We had the pictures of the guys, and it's why we choose handball. And for me, they are like religion in Croatia, all of them. After I was lucky enough to play with a lot of them in Zagreb and in national team. But now, when you look back since 2007, I think it was Dule's first championship. Until today, unfortunately, he doesn't have this gold that those guys before have. But I mean, what is that like? He gave almost 20 years of himself in the national team. So many medals, being a captain, but not just a captain as the armband, you know, like a true leader. For me, he's like this. What happened to him now on the tournament, that he decided will be the last one, and to go to final, to have a farewell with a medal. I mean, it's for a movie.
Yeah, most definitely
It's-
is. So we are all happy for Dule that actually his career in the national team ended on such a high note. So you couldn't ask. Well, there's one scenario that you could ask for a better ending here, but apart from that, it doesn't
yeah.
really get much better than that. So yeah, a lot of honor coming to his name, and rightfully so. But still, we need to have an eye on the next generation. So what kind of Croatian national team does Dule leave behind?
As I watched the interviews he gave, he said that he's calm and proud what will stay behind him. So I believe him. What we could see on this tournament, in the end, we said he got injured. He participated. You could see in the last games on player extra. He gave everything he could with this injury, but actually the guys who took it all on themselves are the guys who will stay there. So I think the future is bright. I think Dagor also learned a lot now with what he's dealing. I meaning on the mentality and those things that were maybe he was not really familiar before on the side of handball. So for me, I can say that I also see it as a bright future.
I'm still having the pictures, in my head that you spoke about also with the football team. I remember Dago, he got, interviewed in front of all the Croatian population who was there, and he said, "Do you want to say anything?" And said, "You're crazy. I love you
Yeah.
guys, but you're crazy. I love Perisic the most, but you guys, have you ever how crazy is that for the Croatian people to, gather together and be like that? Is it they handball is just one big thing in Croatia, or is it because of Domagoj's
Yeah, it is.
situation? And
Actually, it is.
yeah,
In Croatia, I think after football, it's handball national team. That's for sure. Of course, we have amazing water polo team, which who are bringing a lot of medals. But I think handball is sport number 2 in Croatia at the moment, and I don't know how to explain it. We are the guys who grew up like that. You know, we know what that is. For him, for sure, that's maybe the best sentence he could choose. At that moment when he saw the crowd in front of him,
it
that's
was
only
crazy.
thing that he could say. You guys are crazy. It's I think big difference cultural. You know, Iceland
Yeah.
and Croatia. So for him, but I think it's good that for him that it was in Croatia that he could see what it means. So for the future, he would know also how to prepare and. But he now understand. I think the mentality. He understand what it means to the people. So I think it will be easier to motivate the players after this for him. He will know what to do.
Yeah, he always does, that is for sure. But actually, the way that you're talking about the Croatian fans and about Dagor here as well makes me wonder a little bit. So you told us earlier that it hasn't been too long that you were with the guys in the locker room. How does your future in the national team look? Is there one?
Sorry, no. I don't think so. After all the injuries I had, actually one, but it was a little bit longer. I came back for a few qualifications game. I wanted to help to the guys, but at the moment, as I see them with these 3 right backs they are having, it's. I think it was enough for me. They are young, they are lions, they are fighting, and as I said to you before, when I watched them, I was so happy for the guys. So
But I mean, whenever the phone rings, then you would always be ready to help.
Why not? If I'm healthy, not just me, all of us guys, like Karacic did this time. If you are healthy and ready to help, there is no no excuse you can find to be part of that. Of course, no,
Okay.
that's like not even that's not even questionable.
Okay, that sounds good here. But then let's
No,
keep
no.
it here with you personally and talk a little bit about your career. And as I told in the introduction, your little adventure that you had to Kuwait that actually ended rather sooner than later. So what's the story behind that adventure? How did it happen, and why did it end so quickly?
Actually, I'm still trying to get back in my head this summer why it happened like this. I don't know. At one point, I give it a try. Let's say it like this. I wanted to see it. I had different plans, maybe to stay longer if it will be good to stay 2-3 years and to finish. But the reality was that I realized after 1 month that I'm still not. Maybe if I came before, maybe if I came younger, with this mindset I have, it was really hard to settle with some things, to accept that this is actually not professional league. You know, it's only 2 professionals per team, and I just couldn't set up my mind on that level. So as the opportunity came to come back to Europe, I took it immediately. I was too long, almost 15 years in Champions League, and you know, when your mind is on set up like that, it's hard. And of course, I felt that my body was telling me that I'm still able to play on the highest level. So why to lose time? I just wanted to come back.
Because my head was also obviously when you go to a different country outside Europe, there will be cultural differences, and you bringing you huge experience with you from Europe and throughout your career, and then coming to a totally different environment that is
Yeah,
not what you've been used to. And you kind of took my question also there, because I was about to ask you, played it with Zagreb, with Pick Szeged and Paris. Was it also, the ego in you to get back into the Champions League and competing against the best ones and getting back into this professional mindset and environment as you just spoke about?
exactly. It is what I was missing. This environment of professionals around you who are just making you better. And as I said, when you get used to it after so many years, it's hard to go to lower level. So yeah, it was an adventure.
Did you still follow your former team though? So did you still, follow along what Szeged did?
I followed when I was there. I followed all the Champions League. I had a lot of free time, but even if I didn't, I always watch. I watch basically 80% of the games that I could, always following the results. In the end, in almost every team, I have a friend, and I always watch them. So I watch it all.
If I remember correctly, the next game for Vízlaplot in the Champions League is against Paris Saint-Germain, and I mean,
Yes.
for you personally, going back to France that's going to be a special experience for you. Playing for a new team, playing against a
Yeah,
club that
actually,
probably meant a lot
I
to you.
was already back when I was in Szeged.
With Szeged, yeah, okay, yeah,
So
true.
yeah, so I did that part like coming back, but yeah, it's always nice to go there. I mean, I have amazing memories from that time. Maybe one of the best part of my career happened there. So it's always special to go back to Paris.
Most definitely is.
I,
Go ahead,
No, I'm
Martin.
just
Sorry?
wondering also. I have another question also regarding you, Luka, and also the eager to play the Champions League. You know, Wisla Plock are in can you say a little bit critical situation at the moment in the Champions League, being seventh. You know, what are the you know the hopes for the team, and you know bringing in an experienced quality player like you?
For me was actually not was, it is still. I cannot understand how they sit on seventh place. Really, it's for a team like that. From everything I saw in the last 1 month that I'm here, like this is such a big club, a big team, big players, and I watched the games, and you will remember they lost at home, unfortunately, against Paris by 1. They lost in Berlin by 1. They had some games that could go both sides. It always went on the other side, not for them. So to be now in a relegation zone, and it's for me it's unreal. But we have a plan, and we know what we need to do. It's four more games. We have 2 home games, which are, I think, crucial for us. It's Berlin and Sporting. And as we see it at the moment, we will go through through the group. So this is the plan. This is the plan.
Now that you're talking about your new club, and you have been spending some weeks in Plock already, I was just wondering, so did you get an impression on what are those last screw that need to be screwed? What are the last adjustments that Plock was missing, and that you guys would need to adjust for the upcoming weeks?
Actually, it's hard for me to say at the moment. Basically, 25 days, the guys were in the World Cup. The coach as well. He was with Czech national team, and I couldn't get, the bigger picture of the team. Actually, since Monday we are all together, except Mihic and Šušnja, who are going to come this week from Croatian national team. So now we have like 10 more days to, not even 10, 7 days to finalize something for the final polish, and to try to get maximum of these 4 games.
So when we're looking at the last 4 games, Paris, Füchse Berlin, Dinamo Bucharest, Sporting, sounds like a tough program to me. What are your feeling about? Are your feelings about the last 4 games?
For sure tough. As I said before, I think the biggest focus of us should be on the home games, where we really have a great opportunity to get 4 points, which in the end, depending on the other results, especially on the results from Eurofan Pelister, but I hope 4 points will be enough for us. But of course, as a team who is last years building such a strong team, and want to go also to Final Four, it's we need to think about 8 points. Of course, we want to win every match, and that's how we will go to this second part of the season.
I was also, now we're speaking a lot about a lot of games, Luka, and sorry for that, but without I'm saying it to be fair, that you are an experienced player, and you tried a lot. Also played with Szeged against Veszprém, these big games, and I know in between Dinamo and Sporting there's a game against Kielce, and I saw the game Kielce Plock before that, and you are the only unbeaten team in the Polish league. How are you looking forward to these class of titans, if you can say it like that, in Poland?
I really am. I experienced, when I was a young player in Croatia, it was Zagreb Nexe, always big derby, but it was always going on our side in Zagreb. Then I came to France, it was this big derby, Montpellier, Paris. After that, it was with Nantes, always some finals of the cups. Then I realized what big derby means when I came to Szeged. 2 years in a row when we took the championship after they took it back, but that was something different. Then I spoke with Mirko Alilovic, who was like 8, 9, 10 years, I don't remember, in Hungary. And he told me this is something this is something different here. So I'm looking forward to it. I want to feel it. Yeah, I watched the games. Actually, it was not the last game here. I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago when they took the also the internationals referees. It was not the referees from Poland, and it was like 5, 6 red cards. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and actually, what you said, it's coming in between Dinamo and Sporting. So I think next 1 month will be really crucial for the season.
Will be very interesting to see. And before we let you go here, I just have actually one more question, because last week our colleagues from EHF Marketing, they dropped a mini documentary about your former club, about Pig Saget, and they did go along with Roland Mikler there along a lot of times. And I was just wondering, how is Roland Mikler as a person? Because you have been spending quite some time with him, and in the documentary they do talk a little bit about his rivalry with his goalkeeper competition, Tobias Tulin. And he was used to be in the number 1, and now there's big competition. How does he handle those situations?
I think that to be in the position that he is now, considering his age and the level of the game he's playing in the level and in the national team, you need to have that mindset. You need to always want to be number 1. That's the only way to still be there. Because I know a lot of players finishing career earlier than he is, and but even not on that level. I mean, he's still Champions League goalkeeper and having amazing numbers as well this season. Some games they won just because of him. So that's what I didn't watch it, but if you said they talk about this, that he's used to be number 1, that's just the right mindset in the sport. But outside of 40-20, outside of our court, he's an amazing person, family guy with 2 beautiful children. He's a DJ, always into music. Like wherever we go, he's always in the bus. He's having this DJ equipment for mixing music. He's like, if it's not handball, then it's music.
What kind of music does he play?
It's like house music and mostly house music, but he's mixing things. And I know that whenever we finished after some victories, we finished in some club, he was always there on the DJ pult. Really, he was there and he was putting the music for us. Yeah, really, it's.
We will go to Tomorrowland. Roland Mikler to Tomorrowland.
Sorry. Maybe that's where he sees himself after career.
Yeah, Roland Mikler ex Timmy Trumpet. I would like to see it, but well, we'll see. And let's see whether you actually were able to learn something from him there that you can show off at Plock, because there are hopefully more victories for you to come. We wish you the best of luck with that. So thanks a lot for having been around, and yeah, best of luck for the rest of your season, Luka.
Thank you guys for having me. It was a pleasure, and it's a pleasure to be back to EHF Champions League. And hopefully, what we spoke will be like that. I really hope, and my main goal is that in these 6 months we go through to Champions League.
Thank you,
We're
and
looking
welcome
forward
back.
to see it.
It was a good one here with Luka. I am happy to have him back in the Machineseeker EHF Champions League. Martin, do you think that he can still impact the game on the top level, and that he will be the last adjustment that Plock needs to make it to the top 6?
I think definitely he can bring something into the Bloods team. You know, he's a different kind of right back than Piroc they have from Czech Republic at the moment. He's taller and maybe a more threat from the distance. If Luka is the answer, that's a tough one. We spoke about him with the teams that they're gonna play against: PSG, his former club, Füchse Berlin, and also Bucharesti, and then Sporting. I think those are probably the four worst opponents they could play against. So you know, I would say they're not the favorites to go through at the moment. But we've seen wilder and crazier things happening than, let's say, for example, that Vístrup make it through and take the spot away from Pelister. But it will be interesting to see. And as I said also to Luka, it's nice to have him back in Europe and back in the Champions League. So it's definitely an experienced and quality player that they're bringing in.
Most definitely. But we are going to talk about the Machineseeker EHF Champions League in a bit, because at first we need to wrap up the IHF World Championship that has just been played. And of course, we need to start doing that by congratulating Martin Vilstrup once again. Hey, cool, another gold medal in the World Championship. It's getting boring, man. 4 in a row.
I mean, the most impressive thing is having in mind with Nikolaj Jakobsen, he never lost a world championship game as a coach. I think that the story itself is pretty impressive. And 4 in a row, I put it on my Instagram asking people if they think it's the greatest national team ever been, and yeah, it's up for a debate. I think they're up there with the French team and the Swedish team. They've been there early. Victor are looking a little bit tired speaking about the Danish success.
No, because of course it's an exciting team. It's fun to see them playing. What it's not fun, it's to see them destroying everything, because I don't know why I'm not a rich guy right now, that I was, it was so clear to me, and I think to everybody that Denmark is going to win, that I didn't know why I didn't bet all my money on that, because even though it was 1.02, I would have earned money, because from the beginning, they looked so sharp and focus, and we talked about them in the previous episode. But come on, my feeling, with no disrespecting anyone, and I'm exaggerating a little bit, just everybody want to understand me, my feeling, this championship is like, with the length of the squad that they had, if they would play semifinals and final in the same day, they would win.
Yeah. Even if the opponent was completely rested, even if they had a week off.
Yeah, I'm exaggerating, of course, but when I looked at them, they were so superior, and they showed it. Because one thing is to be superior, and the other thing is to show it in the playing court, which is amazing. Of course, my hat is off for them, but of course, in a competitive way, this World Championship was boring.
Yeah, I agree, actually, but also, the afterwards of not talking about Mikkel Hansen and Niklas Landin is also something for the Danish team, them retiring from the national team. What's the most scary part for me is also, the starting 7. I think Rasmus Lauge is the only one above 30 years old. Gisle is 25, but I agree from a spectator's view and competitive, it was pretty boring, winning with, was it 12, 13 goals in average, and also the semifinal against Portugal. I mean, all the other games and all, with biggest respect for the other teams. They are great teams, but yeah, we could have wished for more excitement in the other games. At least we had it in the other quarterfinals and the other semifinals and the bronze medal match. But yeah, as Victor said, they were the clear favorites.
Yeah, from here, just the great people of Denmark just understand us, Congratulations. It was amazing to see the Danish national team play, because they are the best and they showed it. But in this matter, it was boring.
Yeah, Yeah, so they never even made it close because where was the room to make the games close? On one hand side, you were always relying on Emil Nielsen. Whenever everything went wrong, you always had Emil Nielsen behind you. But there were never phases where everything went wrong because you always outscored your opponent anyway. I think eventually they ended up scoring almost 37 goals per game on average, and that is just amazing. And I'm afraid that when we're looking at the age structure that Denmark has right now, that the next decade will be dominated by Denmark, at least at the World Championship. Or what do you think, Martin?
Well, I also saw the Instagram post about how many teams can Denmark put into and then make it to the semifinal. They're looking strong, and we have to have in mind also, right back is probably not the position that they're lacking any quality, but Mads Hoxer is also an injury for this championship. It's looking good. It's looking strong, but it's also getting a little bit boring speaking about all the Danish team. I kind of, when we spoke the last episode, I was lucky. I felt a little bit happy about Czech Republic doing something differently than just standing in a 6-0 defense. And, Croatia tried a 5-1, playing very, very physical also in that game. So I think the other teams will also evaluate and come up with something to try to put Denmark in troubling situations. And let's not forget that the other countries also have great young players coming up, but it's looking good for Denmark for sure. What I'm most impressive about is the third, championship in 1 year with the Olympic Games and the European Championship and World Championship, and it's not like they had one game where you just think, oh, okay, they lack quality in that. They're very consistent. That's the most impressive part for me. They're super consistent in every game and high quality, but it's the other countries will come with something.
Yeah, and just to maybe pass in another topic that I'm sure it's interesting for people. That for me, of course, Denmark was the champion. It's like, okay, they couldn't be any other position than first and winners. But for me, the best news of this championship were Portugal and Croatia, because I loved to see Croatia up there, even though they had half of the team injured, because Martinovic, he was the best right back of the championship, but he was severely injured in his foot, and he was taking painkillers during almost whole championship because he was severely injured, and the way he played was amazing. But then it was both Mandic injured, it was Duvnjak injured, Sindric injured, Karasic stayed injured for some games, and even though they managed, of course, they played in Croatia, that for them it's a huge advantage. But for me, that the Croatian nation is back there, it's a great news. And to see how Portugal is growing and how exciting they are as a team, it's also great news for handball to have one more nation battling for the medals.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially this World Championship, it seemed once again that the spots 2 to maybe 8, 9, 10, they got a lot closer this championship. So all those quarterfinals, they were absolutely on the line when we were watching them. The semifinals, well, every game that was not played with Danish participation was a close one. So it does give us a little bit of hope. So Germany was eliminated by Portugal, deserved in the end. So Portugal took us out there, even though Andy Wolf had 20 saves. So it was an amazing match. On the other hand, we always talk about Portugal, of course, about Croatia now that they made it to the final, but let's look at Italy, let's look at Brazil. There were a lot of shockers here. Martin, what do you think? Which team out of those four, so Portugal, Croatia, Brazil, and Hungary, and Italy, of course, which one shook the handball world the most?
Oh, they're coming from different, situations into the championship. Portugal is still. We also have to remember that's a young team also, and they have been super impressive. Before you mentioned Brazil, I was about to say I really like that the South American style from Brazil is coming in and actually being able to compete against Sweden, Spain, Norway, and teams like that, because at championships before, the teams that I just mentioned would have won against Brazil. So for me, Brazil is like the most positive surprise to make it very far in the tournament. They ended up playing against Denmark, but as I said in the previous episode, Italy are the darlings of this World Championship. But for me, Brazil, the South American style, bringing in, let's not forget they have probably the best defender in the world with Thiago Petros. Then Langaro is also, you get to understand why he played in a club like Barcelona, because his championship sometimes when he shoot. And for me, I have a little bit of I like Brian Monte also. His playing style is very direct. He's a beast. So for me, Brazil was interesting to watch, and also Da Rosa in goal was also playing at a high level.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did leave us a great impression here, but weren't the only team outside of Europe that left a great impression. So Egypt made it to the quarterfinal as well. Unfortunately, they had to take it up on Denmark there. If it wasn't for Denmark, maybe they would have even gone to the semifinal here. And
they lost to France,
it was
my
France.
friend.
It was France.
I lost to France. Yeah.
In the
Sorry.
last second. Yeah.
Yeah, I know you're right. That was a close one there. But still, do we witness that the world is getting a little better and the European dominance is slightly going away here, Victor?
I wouldn't say that. I think Egypt, the last two championships, they have had. I wouldn't say bad luck, because it's not a matter of luck. But sometimes when you lose a game for one goal, it's very, very small details, and sometimes luck is always taking part of the equation. We can remember that in the Olympics they lost against Spain in the quarterfinals with two last saves from Gonzalo Pérez de Vargas, and now they lost against France with a final shot from the middle of the court from Luka Stepancic. So Egypt, before of that, they were in the semifinals of the Olympic Games in Tokyo, and then they were also in the semifinals in their World Championship. So Egypt has been in the last 6 years, 7-8 years around, and I think that Brazil in this championship, they performed. Also, I want everybody to understand what I want to say, a little over their level. I think winning the first game against Norway. Sorry, not the first game of the championship, but they played Norway, the first game against Norway.
Yeah,
it was the first game. The first game.
Yeah,
I was right. So the first game of the championship, starting against the nation that it's playing in at home, and winning the game, that gave them a boost confidence, and it was amazing. And as you said, you mentioned a lot of players in Brazil. Of course, in my opinion, the key point was Rangel Luan da Rosa, and then also he's playing in Chartres, but we kind of discovered Carvalho. He was playing in Braga before, and very good shooter. And I think that Brazil
shoots hard.
Yeah, and I think that Brazil did a great job, but I wouldn't say that the supremacy of European teams is getting weaker, because I still think that it's very, very difficult. If we go back in the last championships, World Championships and Olympic Games, it's very difficult to find a non-European country in the semifinals.
True that.
I would like to see fully fit Egypt also, having Eldera also in there, not only his brother, which were also, there was those pictures from the game after France were devastating, watching him getting the man of the match. But him and also Ahmed Hessam also got an injury throughout the championship. I would like to see them fully fit. Then they are a very, very strong team. They are also without, but as you said, Victor, they've been up there, and they're also probably going to be at the next championship. They just need a little bit of, is it luck, details, timing, extra save, whatever, and then they will be up there for the medals once again.
I would actually liked that it was more different than that. I would love that Egypt would be in the semifinals every time. I would love that Qatar would have stayed strong after their World Championship. I would love that maybe Argentina is also going up and increasing the level and fighting for the quarterfinals. I think it would be very good for our sport that more countries play and increase their level.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, it is a growing sport outside of Europe. So, handball just comes from Europe and didn't already make its way all around the world. But I am pretty sure that it is getting there, and we have seen that the level is going up at this World Championship, and it was a good sign for our beloved sport. So, and I mean, one of us was actually able to attend the final. So, Victor, how was it on venue?
It was nice, of course. It was, I think, a little bit more than 13,000 spectators. It was good atmosphere. It helped, I think, that Croatians qualified for the final because Croatian fans are crazy, and a lot of people traveled from Croatia. It was, I think, the majority of Danish spectators, but I think the atmosphere in the final was amazing.
Nice. That sounds great. Cool. Then we are gonna close the World Cup here. So thanks everyone who made this World Championship so memorable. There were a lot of stars born, but a lot of those stars will be seen again in the Machineseeker EHF Champions League that is just back this week, and I'm highly looking forward to what is just about to come, because the final phase of the group phase is about to start, and there's not too much time for the semi-finalist teams to get back into the clubs. There probably wasn't too much time to cool down, Victor, was there?
No, but it's never too much time after big championships to cool down. It's a tight schedule, and always these championships are dangerous for the clubs because their players are giving their best and their everything for their countries, and always the clubs, they are willing and wishing that it's finishing without any injuries because competition is coming, and it's coming now.
Yeah, it is coming now. It is still tight in the group around the final spots, but let's do it alphabetically here and start it off with Group A. Vesprem, now with a new name, One Vesprem HC. So welcome the new old team into the Machineseeker EHF Champions League. They are still first and start off with a supposedly easier game against Bucharesti, apart from a tougher rest program. So the last three games are looking rough for Vesprem, but they are still the top favorites to go through to the quarterfinal. Martin, how big is the risk of still dropping out of the first two?
For Vesprem?
Yeah.
I think they're gonna stay up there. I mean, Bucharesti away, I don't think it's that easy of a match playing in Romania. Dynamo is a different team in Romania, and also Vesprem, whenever they play away from Hungary, they are a different team. Obviously, they're the favorites, but you're asking me now here, having in mind that they're playing against Bucharesti this time, and then next time they have Sporting home, and then I can see that they're also playing at PSG away and ending it with Fischer Berlin at home. So obviously it's difficult matches, but having 5 points in their hand towards Sporting, I don't see them losing the top two. It would be a huge surprise. But we said it earlier, but it's later in the tournament. The thing about Vesprem is that you never know. They always have the team, but you never know what's happening. But I will say here for sure that they will be in the top two. If not, then I was about to say I'm going to walk from Aarhus to Barcelona.
They have a very, very important player injured, which he didn't injured in the World Championship, but Elderra is a very important for Paski. Let's see how Sindrich is going. So it's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah, and Martin, what you just said with Vesprem always having the team, but not being able to put the performance on the court whenever it's needed, or at sometimes whenever it's needed, that sounds like a pretty PSG thing to do. And I mean, it does get a little trickier when we are looking into the direction of places 2 to 4, because Paris Saint-Germain is second right now with 14 points, Sporting with 13, and Füchse Berlin behind that with 12. Paris does seem to have the pole position, so they don't have any direct encounter left against their opponents. Only one match against Vesprem over. Apart from that, it looks like a doable program. Well, Victor, what do you think? Can Paris finish as well in the top 2?
Yes, I think so. I think they must, with the way that the season and the competition has been going, and looking at the games that they have left. I think this next game, 13th of February in Paris, PSG against Wisla Plock, it's going to be, it's going to show everybody the way for both teams, I think, because I think that if Wisla is managed to take a victory, then probably Luka was right. But if not, it's going to be very, very important for both teams this game. So yeah, I think that Paris is going to be up there, and yeah, it's going to be, in my opinion, as Martin said, second of the group.
Yeah, we have to have in mind PSG are playing Vesprem at home, which is the difficult one, but Sporting and Füchse Berlin are playing Vesprem away. Yeah. So that's, if we look at like what we expect the result would be, and then Paris is going to end up being second in the group.
Yeah, on the other hand, those are the two teams that we're, of course, looking at, Sporting and Füchse Berlin. Füchse's rest program does look doable. Sporting comes, of course, in with confidence after the World Championship. But yeah, I personally don't really see too much switching around between the spots 2 to 4. Martin, what do you think?
They're gonna win 3 out of 4 games, if you ask me. If I have to look into the future, I expect Vesprem to win at home against Sporting and also at home against Füchse Berlin. The thing about Füchse Berlin is also that the depth within the squad is not the biggest one. We spoke about it earlier, and Gisel playing all these tournaments, and Lasse Andersson coming. He was also sick for the final. That's why he was not in the roster. So, yes, I mean, I expect them to win 3 out of 4 games, and then they will stay at the positions. But it's more interesting, to if you look at the knockout stage, getting Sporting, they've been impressive. Füchse Berlin, they also have the quality, but yeah.
We gotta take in mind that Sporting, they have 3 super important players for them that have played not more than Gitzel, because nobody plays more minutes than Gitzel, but they have played almost every minute in this championship, and it's Salvador and Costa brothers. So also they are all very young, but it's gonna be interesting. I have no doubt that in the next games they are gonna be up here, because their level right now is up here. But in 1 month, the last 2 games, we will see. We will see how they are physically.
And we will see who the playoff contenders or opponents will be. But to be honest, if we're looking over into Group B, all the spots from the second place to the 6th place, so Nantes to Magdeburg, all of them seem super hard. So probably we're always looking at, do they want to lose a game so they can drop a place to get the easier opponent? But if we're looking at Group B, there is no such thing as strategic placement this year, is there, Martin?
No. This one for me is the most interesting group, even though that there's only 1 point between Paris Saint-Germain and Füchse Berlin, if I remember correctly, in the other one. But, having Kolstad, which I actually thought that they wouldn't make it through, they kind of woke up. It's going to be interesting to see with Sagosen. He also got an injury. How fast will he be back? And then Zagreb is down there. But I mean, Magdeburg, we spoke about them. Yeah, they will go through. They will be there. But imagine them being 6th, and then you get in massive 3rd place in the other group also. But they have a tough program. They start with playing Kelce away. Then they have Aalborg at home, Kolstad away. And then they play against Szeged at home. So it's doable for them, but one loss can mean a lot in this one because we're expecting Magdeburg to have a gap down to Kolstad and Zagreb. So it can also be Kelce. I think it's going to be between the 3 of those teams, Kolstad, Magdeburg, and Kelce, and there's only 2 spots. And I mean, I would be surprised if Kolstad is going to take one of them. But as Victor said, how fit are the players coming back? And I mean, for Norway, they got out pretty early. Maybe it's an advantage for Kolstad in this sentence.
Yeah, it might. On the other hand, of course, you just mentioned them a little bit because those are the places where it gets really tricky. So from the 5th in Kielce to the 7th in Kolstad, or do we even need to count Zagreb in there too if they go on some kind of miraculous run? Because it is just 3 points. I mean, it's just four games left. But Victor, do you see any way for Zagreb to get back into the competition?
I think it's difficult. Especially if they would lose the first game against Szeged in Hungary. I think this will make them to be a little too far away from the rest because especially if Kolstad is managing to win against Nantes at home, then I think it's going to be over. So I think it's really, really difficult that Zagreb can still make it, but of course, until mathematics are not saying the opposite, they can do it.
Yeah, true that.
So I just did a Martin Vilstrup answer. I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything.
It looks hard, but well, if the mathematics don't fail, then of course it always is doable until the very end. You can never rule anybody out in handball.
And Kelce. They're playing against Kolstad and Kelce at home. So they need to hope for the favorites to win. Then that's the only thing they can hope for. Otherwise, they're out. Yeah. And let's not forget half of the team of Croatia national team. They are injured. They played, as Victor said, on painkillers. And yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and Kos is not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
also.
Of course, we need to see that they took 10 match days to collect 4 points, and now we're talking about getting back 3 points within the last 4 matches. So it does sound like a little miracle is needed for Zagreb. But let's look a little bit up the table because spots 2 to 4 in Group B, they are wide open here too. So Nantes, Aalborg, and Szeged are still in the hunt for the 2nd spot behind Barca. Aalborg still needs to play both, while Szeged and Szeged and Aalborg, they actually met just before the winter break, allowing Aalborg to surpass Szeged. Who do you guys see on the 2nd spot behind Barca at the end of the season?
You guys need to say Aalborg because you have them winning the Champions League.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can win the Champions League going through the playoffs.
Yeah, they can go the long road.
Exactly. I think in this case, I'm going to say Nantes.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Nantes also because Aalborg is playing Barcelona and at home, Magdeburg away and Nantes away. And then they have Zagreb at home, which they're going to win. But they have 3 difficult games compared to Nantes, which are playing against Kolstad away, Szeged at home, Kelce away, and then they have Aalborg at home. It would be nice to have the last one being a decisive match, Nantes against Aalborg, but I think Nantes is going to take it.
Yeah, well, especially if we're looking at the rest program, then it does look like Nantes, because on the other hand, Szeged, they still, they start off against Zagreb, and then after they get Nantes, they get Barcelona, and they get Magdeburg. But on the other hand, there is no easy matches in this Champions League group, so all of them will be tricky, but Nantes is actually in the favorites position here. Yeah, but Kielce against Magdeburg kicks off this round just on Wednesday, 6:45 p.m. Central European time. Is the winner set for the playoffs? Oh, Victor says yes.
How did they go also in the first match? I think Kielce won in Magdeburg, right? They won with one goal also.
Small margin, I think. Yeah, could be.
Kolstad, yeah. I'm leaning towards also saying yes, that the winner. It's because of Kolstad's program. I don't see them actually winning. If I have to ask you guys, do you see Kolstad winning against Nantes at home? Not
Probably
then they
not
need to win
with this Nantes this year.
Then they need to win against Magdeburg at home, or they need to win in Barcelona. Yeah.
I think that the winner of this game, Kielce Magdeburg,
Is secured.
is secured, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fair enough. For once in my life, I will say the victor is right.
Well, you don't always go wrong with giving Víctor Tomàs right. He has proven that throughout his entire career. But, well, the answer lays on the court, and we will be given the answers just this week, because the Machineseeker EHF Champions League finally is back. You guys can go watch it on ehftv.com. It will be a great one. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys are too, and looking forward to the next time when it's time to talk handball again, everybody.
Ball across to Dylan. He double in flight. Oh, what a start.
Into the net.
She does it again.